The abandoned outpost. The twin suns of Novara 6 cast an eerie purple glow across the desolate landscape as Lyra peered out of the research station's viewpoint. Her iridescent scales shimmered in the alien light, a stark contrast to the bleak, rocky terrain outside. As a Zelleran xenobiologist, Lyra had always dreamed of exploring distant worlds, but the harsh reality of Novara 6 was testing even her unwavering enthusiasm. Lyra, we've picked up some unusual energy readings from the northern quadrant. Zix, her research partner, called out from the command console. His voice carried a mix of excitement and apprehension that immediately piqued Lyra's interest. She turned away from the viewpoint, her large, multifaceted eyes focusing on the holographic display Zix had pulled up. "That's odd," she murmured, her slender fingers tracing the erratic energy patterns. "It almost looks like artificial power fluctuations." Zix nodded, his antennae twitching nervously. "My thoughts exactly. But that's impossible, right? This planet is supposed to be uninhabited." Lyra's mind raced with possibilities. Their mission to Novara 6 was meant to be a routine survey of the planet's unique ecosystem, not a first contact scenario. The Zelleran Science Council had assured them that this world, despite its harsh conditions, held no sentient life. "We need to investigate," Lyra declared, her scientific curiosity overriding any sense of caution. "This could be the discovery of the cycle." Zix looked less enthusiastic. "Lyra, need I remind you of the Council's strict non-interference protocols? We're not equipped for this kind of exploration." Lyra waved off his concerns with a flick of her wrist. "We're scientists, Zix. Discovery is what we do. Besides, the protocol allows for investigation if it doesn't involve direct contact. We'll just take a look." Despite Zix's continued protests, Lyra's determination won out. Within the hour, they had assembled a small team and set out in their ground transport, a sleek vehicle designed to navigate Novara 6's treacherous terrain. As they approached the coordinates of the energy signature, the landscape grew increasingly forbidding. Jagged rock formations jutted out of the ground like the teeth of some gargantuan beast, while sulfurous geysers periodically erupted, filling the air with noxious fumes. By the cosmic egg, Tala, their junior researcher, gasped as they crested a ridge. "Look!" Before them, nestled in a deep valley, stood an unmistakably artificial structure. Its metallic surface was dulled by years of exposure, but even from a distance, they could see lights flickering erratically within. "It's some kind of outpost," Lyra breathed, her heart racing with excitement. But whose? And why here, of all places? As they cautiously approached the structure, Lyra's mind whirled with questions. The outpost's architecture was unlike anything in the known galaxy. Its curves and angles seemed to defy conventional engineering, hinting at a level of technology far beyond their own. "We should turn back," Zix insisted, his voice tight with anxiety. "This is way beyond our mission parameters." But Lyra was already out of the transport, her protective suit allowing her to breathe in the planet's thin, toxic atmosphere. "We can't just leave without at least taking a closer look," she argued. "This could rewrite everything we know about this sector of space." Reluctantly, the others followed her lead. As they neared the outpost's main entrance, a low rumble shook the ground beneath their feet. "Seismic activity," Tala suggested hopefully. The answer came in a blood-curdling shriek that echoed across the valley. From behind a cluster of rocks, a creature emerged that defied description. It was massive, easily twice the size of their transport, with a body covered in shifting, iridescent plates. Multiple limbs, each ending in wickedly curved claws, propelled it forward with terrifying speed. "Predator!" Zix screamed, already sprinting back to the transport. Lyra stood frozen, her scientific mind attempting to categorize the beast even as primal fear rooted her to the spot. It was like nothing they had encountered in their surveys, a perfect killing machine evolved to thrive in Novara 6's unforgiving environment. The creature's roar snapped her out of her trance. Lyra turned to run, but her foot caught on a piece of debris. She fell hard, the impact knocking the wind out of her. Through blurred vision, she saw the transport lifting off, her team escaping without her. "Wait," she cried out, struggling to her feet. But it was too late. The transport was already disappearing over the ridge, leaving her alone with the approaching monstrosity. Lyra scrambled towards the outpost, her only hope for survival. The entrance was sealed, but in her panic, she found strength she didn't know she possessed. She pried at the ancient door mechanisms, her claws scraping against unyielding metal. The predator's hot breath washed over her, carrying the stench of decay. Lyra closed her eyes, certain that her lifelong dream of exploration would end here, on this desolate world, alone and forgotten. Suddenly, a deafening roar filled the air, not from the creature, but from above. Lyra's eyes snapped open to see a sleek, unfamiliar ship descending rapidly, weapons blazing. The predator recoiled, confused by this new threat. As the ship touched down between Lyra and the beast, its hatch opened to reveal a figure unlike any Lyra had ever seen. Tall, bipedal, encased in formidable armor. It was unmistakably a species she had only heard rumors about, a human. The human raised a weapon, firing a barrage that drove the predator back. "Come on," a voice shouted through external speakers, "unless you want to be that thing's dinner." Lyra hesitated for only a moment before sprinting towards the ship. As she stumbled inside, the hatch sealed behind her. The human pilot executed a series of maneuvers that Lyra's stomach barely tolerated, putting distance between them and the enraged predator. As the adrenaline began to fade, Lyra found herself face to face with her rescuer. The human removed their helmet, revealing features that were at once alien and strangely familiar. 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth, but arranged in a way that spoke of a very different evolutionary path. "I'm Captain Ethan Drake," the human said, extending a hand in what Lyra would later learn was a greeting. "Looks like you could use a friend on this rock." Lyra stared at the offered hand, then back at the human's face. In that moment, she realized that her ordeal was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. She had been saved from one monster, only to place her trust in a species that much of the galaxy viewed as monsters themselves. As the ship soared away from the abandoned outpost, Lyra couldn't help but wonder. Had she made the right choice? And what mysteries awaited them on this dangerous world that seemed intent on keeping its secrets? The human arrival. Captain Ethan Drake had seen his fair share of strange sights during his years, exploring the fringes of known space, but the alien creature huddled in his ship's cabin was something entirely new. Her iridescent scales shimmered with each nervous movement, and her large compound eyes darted around the cabin, taking in every detail. "So," Ethan said, breaking the tense silence, "you want to tell me what, eh?" He paused, searching for the right word. "Zelleran," the alien supplied, her voice carrying a musical lilt. "I'm a Zelleran. My name is Lyra." Ethan nodded, a wry smile tugging at his lips. "Right. What's a Zelleran doing on this death trap of a planet? And alone at that?" Lyra's scales shifted color slightly, a reaction Ethan guessed might be equivalent to a human blush. I wasn't alone. My research team." She trailed off, her alien features contorting in what Ethan recognized as a universal expression of distress. "They left you," Ethan finished for her, his voice softening. He'd seen it before, the cruel calculus of survival that sometimes led people to abandon their own. It never sat right with him. Lyra nodded, her antennae drooping. "We discovered an abandoned outpost. It wasn't supposed to be there. Nothing sentient was supposed to be on Novara 6. When that creature attacked, they just left." Ethan leaned back in his pilot's chair, processing this information. His mission to Novara 6 had been a routine resource survey, part of humanity's endless quest for new materials to fuel their expansion. The discovery of an alien outpost and a stranded xenobiologist complicated things considerably. Well, you're safe now, Ethan said, making a decision. We'll figure this out together. But first, we need to rendezvous with the rest of my team. As if on cue, the ship's comm system crackled to life. Captain, do you copy? We've got a situation down here. Ethan frowned, keying the response. Go ahead, Martinez. What's the problem? You're not going to believe this, sir. Martinez's voice came through, tense with excitement and apprehension. We'd found some kind of structure, definitely not natural, and there's energy readings coming from inside. Ethan's eyes met Lyra's, seeing his own surprise mirrored in her alien gaze. Understood, Martinez. Hold your position. We're on our way. As Ethan piloted the ship towards his team's coordinates, Lyra leaned forward, her scientific curiosity overriding her recent trauma. Captain Drake, I don't understand. You speak as if you didn't know about the outpost. But surely, if humans built it. Ethan shook his head. We didn't build it, Lyra. Humanity's never had a presence on Novara 6 before now. Whatever that structure is, it's as much a mystery to us as it is to you. The implications of this statement hung heavy in the air between them. If neither Zellerans nor humans had built the outpost, then who, or what had? As they approached the landing site, the structure came into view. It was larger than the outpost Lyra had discovered, its architecture even more alien and unsettling. Curved spires reached towards the purple sky, their surfaces seeming to shift and ripple in a way that defied the laws of physics. Ethan set the ship down a safe distance away, where the rest of his team waited. As he and Lyra disembarked, Ethan couldn't help but notice the way his crew's eyes widened at the sight of the Zelleran. At ease, he said firmly, heading off any potential issues. This is Lyra. She's a scientist, like us, and it seems we've all stumbled onto something big here. Martinez, a stocky woman with close-cropped hair, stepped forward. Captain, the energy readings are off the charts. Whatever's in there, it's powerful. And she hesitated, glancing at Lyra. It's waking up. Lyra's antennae quivered with excitement. Waking up? You mean the structure is alive? Ethan held up a hand, urging caution. Let's not jump to conclusions. Martinez, what exactly do you mean by waking up? Before Martinez could answer, a low hum filled the air, vibrating through the ground beneath their feet. The structure's surface began to pulse with an inner light, patterns of energy racing along its contours. I think, Ethan said slowly, we're about to find out. As the team watched in awe and trepidation, a section of the structure's base began to shift, revealing an entrance where none had been visible before. The opening yawned wide, as if inviting them in, or preparing to swallow them whole. Ethan turned to his team, his expression grave. All right, listen up. This is first contact scenario. We proceed with caution. Martinez, you're with me. Chen, you stay here with Lyra and maintain communication. If anything goes sideways, you take off and send a message to command. Understood. The team nodded, their training kicking in despite the unprecedented situation. Lyra, however, stepped forward. Captain Drake, I must insist on accompanying you. My expertise in xenobiology could be crucial. Ethan studied her for a moment, weighing the risks against the potential benefits. Finally, he nodded. All right, but you stay behind us, and you follow every order without question. Clear. Lyra's scales rippled with determination as she nodded. Perfectly clear, Captain. As they approached the entrance, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into the maw of some cosmic beast. The air grew thick with an electric charge, making the hair on the back of his neck stand on end. Just before they crossed the threshold, Lyra spoke softly. Captain, I want to thank you for saving me, and for this. My people, we've always seen humans as dangerous, unpredictable. But you've shown me a different side. Ethan glanced back at her, a small smile on his face. Well, don't thank me yet. We might all end up wishing we'd stayed home after this. With those words hanging in the air, they stepped into the unknown, the structure seemingly coming alive around them. Lights pulsed along corridors that twisted in impossible geometries, and in the distance, something that might have been machinery, or might have been something far stranger, hummed with awakening power. As they ventured deeper into the heart of the mystery, Ethan couldn't help but feel that this was just the beginning. Whatever they discovered here on Novara 6, he knew it would change everything. For humanity, for the Zellerans, and perhaps for the entire galaxy. The true nature of the abandoned outpost and the ancient power it contained was about to be revealed. And Ethan, Lyra, and the human exploration team were walking blindly into the center of a cosmic storm that had been brewing for millennia. Journey through peril. The interior of the alien structure defied all logic and expectations. Corridors stretched and twisted in ways that seemed to ignore the laws of physics, while surfaces shimmered with an iridescent light that pulsed in complex, ever-changing patterns. Captain Ethan Drake led the way, his handheld scanner emitting a soft, steady beep as it struggled to make sense of their surroundings. "This architecture," Lyra whispered, her voice filled with awe. "It's unlike anything in known galactic history. The level of technology required to create this, it's beyond comprehension." Martinez, bringing up the rear, kept her weapon at the ready. "That's what worries me, Captain. If something's this advanced, what chance do we stand if it turns hostile?" Ethan's jaw tightened. "Let's cross that bridge when we come to it. For now, we focus on gathering information. Lyra, any theories on who or what might have built this place?" Ethan reached out to stop her. "Wait, we don't know if it's so." But his warning came too late. As Lyra's hand touched the console, a surge of energy coursed through the room. The pillar of light flared brilliantly, and a holographic image flickered to life above them. The being that appeared was unlike anything they had ever seen. It stood easily 3 meters tall, with a body that seemed to be composed of pure energy contained within a vaguely humanoid form. When it spoke, its voice resonated not just in their ears, but in their very minds. "After eons of slumber, the seed awakens. You who have triggered this message, hear our warning and our plea." Ethan, Lyra, and Martinez stood transfixed as the entity continued. "We are the Ardari, guardians of life in this galaxy. Long ago, we seeded worlds with the potential for sentience, hoping to nurture a diverse tapestry of civilizations. But our experiments drew the attention of something ancient and terrible, the Void Hunters." The hologram shifted, showing scenes of unimaginable destruction. Entire worlds were consumed by writhing masses of darkness. The Void Hunters seek to devour all life, all consciousness. We fought them for millennia, but could only drive them back, not destroy them. In our final act, we created seed worlds like this one, repositories of our knowledge and power, hidden away until the day came when the children of our seeding were ready to take up the mantle of guardianship. Lyra's voice trembled as she spoke. Are you saying that both Zellerans and humans are descended from your experiments?" The Ardari entity turned its gaze upon her. "Yes, young one. You and countless other species carry within you the legacy of our work. But now you face a grave threat. The Void Hunters stir once more, drawn by the awakening of this seed." Ethan stepped forward, his mind reeling from the implications. How can we stop them? What are we supposed to do with this seed? "The power to stand against the Void Hunters lies within this structure," the Ardari explained. "But it can only be wielded by those who prove themselves worthy, by demonstrating cooperation, compassion, and the will to protect all life, not just their own kind." Before anyone could ask more questions, alarms began to blare throughout the structure. The Ardari's image flickered. "They come. The defenses of this world will not hold for long. You must prepare, or all will be lost." With that, the hologram vanished, leaving the chamber in a state of pulsing, anxious energy. Martinez's comm unit crackled to life. "Captain, we've got incoming." Multiple hostile entities entering the atmosphere. They're like nothing we've ever seen. Ethan's mind raced. They were trapped in an alien structure on a hostile world, facing a threat of unimaginable power. His gaze met Lyra's, seeing his own fear and determination mirrored in her alien eyes. "All right," he said, his voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around them. "We've got a galaxy to save. Let's figure out how to use this place." As if in response to his words, the consoles around them flared to life, displaying what appeared to be weapon systems, defense grids, and technologies beyond their current understanding. Lyra moved to one of the stations, her hands hovering over the controls. I think I can interface with this. My people's neural structure might be compatible with the Ardari systems." Ethan nodded, making a quick decision. "Do it. Martinez, get back to the ship. Coordinate with Chen and prepare for aerial defense. I'll stay here with Lyra and try to figure out how to activate this place's defenses." As Martinez sprinted from the chamber, Ethan turned to Lyra. The Zelleran scientist looked terrified but determined. "Are you ready for this?" he asked softly. Lyra's scales shimmered with a mix of fear and resolve. "No," she admitted. "But we don't have a choice, do we? The fate of everything we know depends on what we do next." Ethan managed a grim smile. "Welcome to the human experience, Lyra. We're rarely ready for the challenges we face. We just do our best and hope it's enough." Together, human and Zelleran turned to face the ancient Ardari technology, racing against time to unlock its secrets before the Void Hunters descended upon them. The next few hours would determine not just their fate, but the fate of all life in the galaxy. As they worked, Ethan couldn't help but marvel at the irony. Here he was, working side by side with an alien he'd only just met, trying to save a universe that, until today, he'd thought he understood. It was moments like these, he realized, that truly defined humanity. Not their strength or their technology, but their ability to adapt, to cooperate, and to face the unknown with unwavering determination. The battle for Novara 6 and for the future of the galaxy was about to begin. The crucible of crisis. The sky above Novara 6 burned. What had once been a serene purple expanse now roiled with inky black tendrils that seemed to devour the very light around them. The Void Hunters had arrived, and with them came a darkness that threatened to engulf everything in its path. Inside the Ardari structure, now humming with awakened power, Captain Ethan Drake and Lyra worked feverishly to unlock the ancient defenses. Sweat beaded on Ethan's brow as he interfaced with unfamiliar technology, his hands dancing across holographic displays that responded as much to his thoughts as to his touch. "Lyra, how are you holding up?" he called out, sparing a glance at his alien companion. The Zelleran scientist was a picture of intense concentration, her scales flickering with rapid color changes that Ethan had come to recognize as signs of deep focus and stress. "I'm managing," she replied, her voice strained. "This Ardari technology, it's like nothing I've ever encountered. It's as if it's alive, adapting to my neural patterns." A violent tremor shook the structure, nearly knocking them off their feet. Ethan steadied himself against a console, his eyes darting to the external feeds. The sight made his blood run cold. Massive tentacled forms were descending from the turbulent sky, each easily the size of a small city. Where they touched the ground, the very rock seemed to wither and die. And they were heading straight for the Ardari structure. "Martinez, status report." Ethan barked into his comm. The response came back garbled with static. "Not good, Captain. Our weapons barely scratch these things. Chen's trying to recalibrate our energy cannons based on Ardari specs, but we're running out of time." Another tremor, stronger this time. Alarms blared throughout the structure as systems began to overload under the strain of full activation. Lyra let out a sudden gasp, her eyes wide with a mix of wonder and terror. "Ethan, I think I've found something. It's a weapon. Something the Ardari called the Lightbringer." But she hesitated, her antennae drooping. "But what?" Ethan pressed, moving to her side. It requires a living pilot, Lyra said softly. Someone to merge with the Ardari systems and channel the energy directly. The strain, it could be fatal. For a moment, the cacophony of battle faded into the background as Ethan absorbed this information. A weapon that could turn the tide, but at the cost of a life. His training, his duty, all pointed to one clear course of action. "I'll do it," he said, his voice firm with resolve. Lyra's head snapped up, her alien features contorting in what Ethan recognized as anguish. "No, you can't. Your physiology, it's not compatible. It has to be me." "Absolutely not," Ethan growled. "I'm not losing you, not after everything we've been through." Their eyes met, human and alien, yet in that moment, more alike than either had ever imagined possible. Lyra reached out, her slender fingers intertwining with Ethan's in a gesture that transcended species. "Ethan," she said softly, "when we met, I thought humans were dangerous, unpredictable. But you've shown me the true strength of your species. It's not in your weapons or your technology. It's in your heart, your unwavering spirit in the face of impossible odds." Her scales shimmered with a soft, warm light. "Let me show you the strength of my people. Let me do this for both our worlds, for all life in the galaxy." Before Ethan could protest further, the structure rocked with the most violent impact yet. Cracks began to appear in the walls, dark tendrils seeping through like poisonous veins. "Captain," Martinez's voice crackled through the comm. "We can't hold them off much longer. Whatever you're going to do it now." Time seemed to slow as Ethan looked into Lyra's eyes one last time. In them, he saw not fear, but a serene determination. He nodded, words failing him. Lyra stepped onto the central platform, which began to glow with an intense, pure light. As she lay back, tendrils of energy enveloped her body, lifting her into the air. Her eyes met Ethan's one last time, a smile playing on her alien features. "Thank you," she whispered, "for showing me the best of humanity." The chamber erupted in blinding light. Ethan shielded his eyes, feeling a wave of pure energy wash over him. When he could see again, his heart nearly stopped. Lyra's body was gone, transformed into a being of pure energy, reminiscent of the Ardari hologram they had seen earlier. She hovered above the platform, pulsing with power. When she spoke, her voice echoed with the wisdom of ages. "The Lightbringer is awakened. We must act now, Ethan. Guide me." Pushing aside his awe and grief, Ethan turned to the control consoles. Somehow, he knew exactly what to do, as if Lyra's transformation had forged a mental link between them. "Martinez, Chen, get clear," he shouted into the comm. "We're about to light this candle." The structure's defenses came to life, panels opening to reveal weapons of unimaginable power. Lyra, or the being she had become, rose higher, channeling the full might of the Ardari technology. A beam of pure, blinding light erupted from the top of the structure, cutting through the dark sky like a blade of creation itself. Where it touched the Void Hunters, they recoiled, their shadowy forms dissipating like mist before the dawn. The battle raged on, light against darkness, creation against oblivion. And at the heart of it all stood a human captain and the transformed Zelleran scientist, two beings from different worlds united in their stand against cosmic horror. As the tide began to turn, Ethan allowed himself a moment of hope. But he knew the fight was far from over. The Void Hunters were being driven back, but at what cost? And what would become of Lyra once the battle was won? With grim determination, he focused on the task at hand. The fate of galaxies hung in the balance, and he would see this through to the end, whatever it might be. The light of the Ardari weapon blazed ever brighter, a beacon of hope in a universe teetering on the brink of darkness. Dawn of a new era. The battle for Novara 6 raged on, a cosmic struggle between light and darkness that painted the alien sky with streaks of brilliance and shadow. At the heart of it all, Captain Ethan Drake stood firm, his hands dancing across Ardari controls, guiding the awesome power of the Lightbringer. the being that had once been Lyra. The transformed Zelleran scientist hung suspended above the central platform, a creature of pure energy channeling the full might of ancient technology. With each pulse of power, more void hunters were driven back, their shadowy forms dissipating into the ether. But victory came at a cost. Ethan could see the strain on Lyra, even in her energy form. The constant output of power was taking its toll, and he feared what would happen when the battle was over, if they survived at all. "Martinez, status report." Ethan barked into his comm, his voice hoarse from hours of shouting orders. "We're holding, Captain," came the reply, punctuated by the sound of energy weapons. "The smaller hunters are retreating, but there's a big one coming in. Bigger than anything we've seen yet." As if on cue, the structure shuddered violently. Ethan looked up at the external feeds and felt his heart sink. A massive void hunter, easily 10 times the size of the others, was descending from the upper atmosphere. Its very presence seemed to dim the light around it, like a black hole given form. "Lyra," Ethan called out, hoping some part of her could still hear him. "We've got one last fight. Everything we've got now." The being that was Lyra pulsed with acknowledgement. The Ardari weapon surged with renewed power, a beam of pure creation lancing out to meet the colossal void hunter. The two forces clashed in the sky above Novara 6, a battle of primordial energies that threatened to tear the very fabric of space-time. Ethan felt the strain through his mental link with the Ardari systems. Alarms blared throughout the structure as power levels reached critical. They were pushing the ancient technology beyond its limits, and something had to give. In that moment of crisis, Ethan made a decision. He stepped onto the platform beside Lyra's energy form, reaching out to touch the swirling light. "Together," he said, his voice firm with resolve. "Like you said, the strength of humanity is in its heart. Let me share that strength with you." As his hand made contact, pain unlike anything he had ever experienced coursed through his body. But with it came a rush of power and understanding. He saw the universe as the Ardari had, the delicate balance of life, and the ever-present threat of oblivion. He felt Lyra's consciousness merge with his own, their two minds becoming one in a union that transcended physical form. With their combined will, they poured everything into one final desperate attack. The beam of light intensified, burning brighter than a newborn star. It struck the massive void hunter dead center, and for a moment, everything seemed to hang in perfect balance. Then, with a silent explosion that shook the very foundations of reality, the void hunter began to disintegrate. From the point of impact, cracks of light spread across its dark form, growing and multiplying until the entire creature was consumed in a burst of radiance. The shockwave rippled out across Novara 6, washing over the remaining void hunters. Where it touched them, they too dissolved, their essence scattered to the cosmic winds. In the span of a few breathtaking seconds, the sky cleared, the oppressive darkness replaced by the soft purple glow of the planet's twin suns. Inside the Ardari structure, silence fell. The weapon powered down, and the swirling energy that had been Lyra began to coalesce. Ethan, his body racked with pain, but his spirit soaring, watched in awe as she took shape once more. Lyra reformed, her scales glittering with residual energy, and collapsed into Ethan's waiting arms. Her eyes fluttered open, meeting his with a look of wonder and exhaustion. "Did we?" she began, her voice weak. Ethan nodded, a tired smile spreading across his face. "We did it. You did it, Lyra. You saved us all." As if to confirm his words, the comm crackled to life. Martinez's voice, filled with a mix of disbelief and joy, came through. "Captain, you're not going to believe this. They're gone. All of them. And the planet. Sir, it's changing." Ethan helped Lyra to her feet, and together they made their way to a view screen. What they saw took their breath away. The harsh, barren landscape of Novara 6 was transforming before their eyes. Patches of vegetation were sprouting from the once dead soil, and the toxic atmosphere was clearing, revealing a sky of breathtaking beauty. The seed, Lyra whispered in awe. "It's not just a weapon. It's a Genesis device. We've brought life back to this world." As the reality of their victory sank in, Ethan felt a profound sense of change, not just in the world around them, but in himself. He looked at Lyra, seeing her not as an alien being, but as a kindred spirit, a fellow traveler in the vast cosmic sea. "What happens now?" he asked softly. Lyra's antennae twitched thoughtfully. "We have unlocked power beyond imagining, Ethan. The Ardari left us a legacy, not just to fight the void, but to nurture life throughout the galaxy. This is just the beginning." Ethan nodded, understanding the weight of responsibility that now rested on their shoulders. "Then we'll face it together. Human, Zelleran, and whatever other species are out there. It's time for all of us to step up and become the guardians the Ardari hoped we could be." As they stood there, watching new life bloom on a once-dead world, Ethan realized that this was more than just a victory against an ancient enemy. It was the dawn of a new era for all sentient beings. An era of cooperation, of breaking down the barriers between species, of facing the unknown wonders and terrors of the universe as one united force. The journey ahead would be challenging, filled with diplomatic hurdles, technological marvels, and likely more threats from the dark corners of the cosmos. But as Ethan looked at Lyra, at the determination and hope shining in her alien eyes, he knew that together they could face anything. For in their unity, the analytical mind of the Zelleran and the indomitable spirit of humanity, they had found a strength greater than either could have imagined alone. It was this strength, this echo of humanity amplified and enriched by alien perspectives, that would light their way forward into the vast, unknown future that awaited them among the stars. As the first new dawn broke over Novara 6, Ethan Drake and Lyra stepped out of the Ardari structure, ready to face the new day and the new age it heralded. The galaxy would never be the same, and neither would they. But whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, guardians of life, explorers of the cosmic frontier, and living proof that the greatest power in the universe was not technology or weapons, but the simple, profound ability to reach across the stars and say, "You are not alone. We are in this together." And with that thought, a new chapter in the history of the galaxy began.